Welcome back, Cowboys Nation. Today we've got a loaded show with some big talking points. First, we'll tackle the so-called spitting controversy involving Dak Prescott. And let me be clear, the whole thing is ridiculous. Some Eagles fans are trying to twist the narrative, but when you look at the clip, Dak spits on the ground yards away from Jalen Carter. Carter's the one out of position, on the wrong side of the field, and yet somehow people want to make this about Dak? Come on. This isn't a scandal, it's a non-story. On top of that, we've got some major updates you're going to love, what Sam Williams had to say about Micah Parsons, and why it shows how this team's mindset is locked in. Plus, how CeeDee Lamb spent his off day in a way that should fire up every Cowboys fan about where this team is headed. And yes, we'll touch on the Eagles' rumored offer for Micah Parsons, because if you thought Cowboys fans were fired up already, just wait until we dive into that. Dallas is preparing for a clash with the Giants this week, and the intensity is only getting hotter. Let's break this down even further. The referee is literally staring right at Dak Prescott when this happened. And you can clearly see the difference between spitting near someone and spitting on someone. Dak was nowhere close to Jalen Carter, not even in the same space. Here's the bottom line, this entire situation is nonsense. It's been blown way out of proportion simply because it happened during Cowboys vs Eagles on opening weekend. If it were any other game, nobody would be talking about it. Dak Prescott doesn't deserve a fine. He doesn't deserve a suspension. He doesn't deserve anything, because he didn't do anything wrong. And you know who agrees? Walt Anderson. For those who don't know, Anderson is a longtime former NFL referee who now serves as the league's officiating and rules analyst. On game day morning, he explained that nothing inappropriate happened until Jalen Carter spit on Dak Prescott. That's the real issue here. Anderson made it clear, there shouldn't be any additional punishment for Dak. And honestly, I feel the same way even if the roles were reversed. If Osa Odigizua had spit on Jalen Hurts, my reaction would be identical. Spitting crosses the line, period. Carter already missed the rest of the game, and that's plenty of punishment. At most, the 15-yard penalty was more than enough. Here's the thing, the NFL has been making a huge deal about taunting in recent years, and honestly, it's ridiculous. Football is an emotional game. If a defender lays down a massive hit, let him celebrate. Let him stand over his opponent. Give me the Iverson step-over moment, that's part of the fire and passion of the sport. But spitting? That's the line. Everyone knows it. It's low class, it's disrespectful, and it has no place on the field. Taunting is one thing. Spitting is another. That's why this whole debate about Dak Prescott is nonsense. Carter was the one out of line. Now, here's where things get even spicier. On Sunday morning, Jay Glazer dropped a bombshell report. He confirmed that the Philadelphia Eagles made a serious attempt to trade for Micah Parsons. Adam Schefter had already mentioned their interest, but Glazer took it a step further. The Eagles offered 2 first-round picks, a third, and a fifth, plus more. That's a blockbuster package for one of the best defensive players in the NFL. And honestly, I don't doubt for a second that Philly made the call. That's what the Eagles do, they're always aggressive, always swinging for stars. I wouldn't be surprised if Washington or another NFC East rival poked around too. But let's be clear, I'm beyond relieved the Cowboys didn't even entertain it. Trading Micah Parsons to the Eagles, your biggest rival, would have been an absolute disaster. You don't hand over your best player to the team you're fighting every year for the division crown. No way. I'll be honest, I'm still mad that the trade talk even involved the Packers, of all teams. And when you really look at the rumored details, a third-rounder and a fifth, is that even better than a guy like Kenny Clark, who would have directly filled a need for Dallas? Honestly, I don't think so. And that's the part that frustrates me. We don't know the full details. Was there a player attached to the offer? Were the Eagles dangling a defensive tackle? Probably not Jalen Carter or Jordan Davis, that seems impossible, but that's the kind of piece Dallas would have needed. Without that information, it just feels like empty speculation. At the end of the day, though, I don't even want to spend too much more time on this Micah Parsons trade chatter. We covered it when it first broke, and honestly, Parsons isn't going anywhere. Dallas knows what they have, and fans know it too. So, let's shift the focus to something that actually matters for the Cowboys right now, Sam Williams and what he had to say about Micah Parsons, plus an update on how CeeDee Lamb is using his time off in a way that should have every Cowboys fan feeling optimistic. Now let's dive into Sam Williams' comments about Micah Parsons, and I've got to say, I loved every word of it. When Williams was asked how the Cowboys can replace Micah, he didn't sugarcoat it. He said, "I feel like everybody's tired of that question. Micah's gone. Stop bringing up his name. He's in Green Bay. Ask about the Cowboys and what we've got in our locker room. Micah will always be family to the D-line, but at the end of the day, it's business. Ask his agent, ask Jerry Jones, ask Micah himself, but don't ask me. I'm focused on me. He's him, and I'm me." That's exactly the mentality this team needs. Respect for Micah? Absolutely. But once you're wearing a different uniform, especially for another franchise, you're the opposition. You're the enemy on Sundays. I love that Sam Williams is drawing that line in the sand. It shows maturity, accountability, and focus. He knows he has something to prove this season, and instead of dwelling on the past, he's embracing the opportunity that's right in front of him. This is the kind of mindset that keeps a locker room strong when star players move on. Dallas isn't about one man, it's about the star on the helmet and the team behind it. Here's the truth, once a player leaves, you can't sit around thinking about the X, whether it's in football or life, you've got to flush it and move forward. That's the only way to grow, and that's the only way to win. Now, back to Sam Williams and this Cowboys defense. I thought Williams showed some really promising flashes in Week 1. The finishing wasn't always there in the first half, especially against Jalen Hurts, who escaped the pocket a few too many times, but the effort and disruption were clear. Overall, the passing defense held up well outside of one big Jahan Dotson play. The real problem was containing the quarterback run game. That's an area where this unit needs to tighten up. Dante Fowler, for example, didn't have his best showing against the run, but he can still provide juice as a rotational pass rusher. And let's be honest, it's tough to judge the Cowboys' front when they're facing maybe the best offensive tackle duo in football, Jordan Mailata and Lane Johnson. The good news? The Giants are up next. That's a much more manageable matchup, and it's a chance for this pass rush to make a real statement. Before we wrap up, I want to give some real credit to CeeDee Lamb. After a rough game against the Eagles, the kind of night no star receiver wants to have, Lamb responded exactly the way you'd hope a leader would. Instead of sulking, he spent his off day grinding on the jugs machine, putting in extra work to eliminate the drops that haunted him last season and showed up again in Week 1. That's what leadership looks like. Not just talking about accountability, but showing it with action. That's why Lamb wears the captain's C on his chest. And history tells us something else, CeeDee Lamb thrives against the Giants. Every time Dallas lines up against New York, Lamb seems to make plays that break the game wide open. That's why I'm fully expecting a bounce-back performance this week. A hungry, motivated CeeDee Lamb against a division rival? That's exactly the kind of storm the Giants don't want to see coming.